G'day everybody, it's time for real science talk, because without real talk we can't really fix a problem, right? If they're not here to have a real talk about history and science, right? Now, I've watched lots of docos, and this guy in this doco in the 50s, I think it was, the 60s, he studies cultures, and he wanted to know which one was the furthest culture and talk about it, and he'll show their history and how they got there, because that's what we're all here to do, learn. And we do learn in certain areas what we need to know, but it doesn't spread, right? Everyone has bubbles and work, and it's hard to infiltrate their bubble. And if they're old dogs and go, you won't infiltrate the bubble more. They're still going through their collective lessons, right? And so this guy went around and he did all the cultures, and then he got to the Aboriginals. And he said that the Aboriginals are the lowest of all cultures, so the lowest in achievements when it comes to mankind, as they've just lived off their land. They've still stuck right up until they had their first battle with another group, except their own, and a big group instead of a little nothings. So there's been stories, little boats and stuff like that. They were just doing their thing, and they had stories and spiritual stories, and they've got just the primitive tools that we had, the white man, 10,000 years ago, right? They were still using it just a couple hundred years ago, right? And besides them, there's still a couple other islands that have groups on there that still haven't been ranked yet, right? So they're not the lowest, they're the lowest of what we know, like an Olympic game saying this is the best runner, right? Of what joined and what went into that program, right? And so in the program at the moment, Aboriginals have achieved the less. They got like a 1% out of 100 of, the top culture of achievements in building. They got about a 1% of achievements of what they created, what scientists they had. Right? They haven't done anything. They're cavemen. Right? And now they're cavemen that interact with us. Right? Now these cavemen have stories like we all do to guide us along. We all have chances from the ethers, aliens and all sorts of stories, right? Jesus turned up for us to all teach us. Aboriginals had the rainbow spirit and a few other things that they've talked about, right? But have you heard about one of the stories? There's a few little stories about rainbow spirit as they talk more about it in each story, right? But in one of the stories, they actually failed their test with spirit, right? Rainbow spirit come down to dance with them and do certain things, which is what I wanted to do in another way of connection, to connect, because I've been asking my gods and spirit in the land to help with the connection again, right? And this spirit come down, dance, made them all happy and that. And you know what the Aboriginals did in this story? They got jealous, and when it was asleep, because they're cowards, cowards do these kind of moves. A lot of us have been cowards over the time, but this is their story. They come in and they cut open the rainbow spirit, right? And the rainbow spirit left off all these beautiful animals, all these things, and in their punishment, they have to look after these animals. So that's why they've got a lot of stories about the land, because they're trying to get their forgiveness, right? They still haven't got it yet, right? Because collectively, they've got to, at least or mostly, and that's how your culture thrives, repent and move on with the story and stop being what they've been in the story, which is jealous and barbaric, right? And sneaky, right? And so I wanted to reintroduce that story to help connect and to heal that area, because it needs connection. And when it comes to the rainbow spirit, that other spirit could be in anybody. It doesn't have to be Aboriginal, because it's got to do with connection, right? And they failed that. Just like the Indians have a connection through animal spirits and stuff like that. And they don't kill their animals, right? They didn't kill it. You don't have a story where they really kill them unless they're bad ones. They'll have stories of bad spirits. But with their story, it was a good spirit, and that's how they handled good spirits. And that's no good. And so when it comes to Aboriginals, I have my own story. So we have people with documentaries, we have science, they are what they put out, right? Yes, they're good with the land, that's good, but they also need to heal as themselves as connections, right? They've connected in certain ways. Every time we've had stories, the Aboriginals have stories of just being stupid and monkey and animal-like, and so they're hard to trust, right? And no one wants to educate them, so they need connection. to be educated, or so they can educate themselves. And that's what they've been slowly doing. But what we see now at the moment, their top 8 leaders, their top people, which is the top of them, how are they acting right now? Are they acting a little bit like I just said about how they think that everything is so wrong towards them? Have they really tried steps for themselves? Have they proved anything to have a whinge about how unfair they've been treated? Do they know the history of the things they're whinging about and what they've been through, and battles and unfair treatments and learning and education? So in the end, it's all about reconnecting, right? And to reconnect for real is to be like what you're trying to connect to. So if they're barbaric, you can be barbaric a little bit. You can go join Hitler and, have Hitler's favors and things if you want to get upgraded in that way. And he will favor you and you're going to go kill like Hitler, right? They pick of what they do. But here, you got to at least pick of what's around you or what first had a problem with you, right? And you re-heal that and you start from the bottom and you go up, don't you? So when it comes to Aboriginals, I have my own theory, and I believe that these theories are damn right on the spot besides what I've watched and what I believe science and education is and what's right of what's been told, right? And what makes sense of the education I have. And so I believe it's true because all the encounters I've had, including my mum, when it comes to my mum, is they have, out of all the things that I've met here in Australia, the biggest envy, jealousy, grudges. Now, they talk about it that they had it since a battle made them like that we forced them like that. But their history also shows that they had it before that, right? And that's what science is all about. That's why we get somewhere, because our culture, the English culture, uses science. It was the first to get into it. Usually you're the first, you can be the best. But it's all about how much you're willing to study that area and keep going with it, right? You can catch up quite quick. Right? Aboriginals have a good chance of catching up, which I've talked about before. But before they catch up, they can't force and demand and use guilt trips to force that catch up, which they've been doing lately, as far as I'm concerned. There's lots of ways of reconnecting without forcing and bullying and using guilt trips. Other than that, and like I said, I've had problems myself. I've been down the street. They've always bullied me, had a go at me, get off my land. I'm actually still getting it recently. My mum went to help them out. They got jealous about her being white. They're very racist, right? They don't like that anyone helps them. And that's not a good thing when you're trying to actually connect and move forward and you're already way behind. But it's a choice that they choose, right? And it's a choice that lots of cultures choose over time. And then we get to a point where we are now, and we're still choosing. So good luck out there, everybody, with the culture wars and all that kind of stuff. That's why I thought when it comes to the voice, that all the areas were the wrong priorities, right? If you don't look at the right priority, you just whinge here and this and there, it's not going to work, and what you put out. So if something doesn't work, it's because the priorities weren't straight enough, weren't in the right areas to make it work, and you need to try again, right? Either the way you're doing it or the way you are and then the way you do it. But anyway, have a good one, and you let me know what you think in comments. I am not racist. I'm not trying to attack any culture. I decided to be more real. Sometimes to wake up cultures, a parent will even say, you've got to be more real, give them things that they don't like to hear, but it's true, right? If you're selfish, it's good to tell your kid that they're selfish and being nasty when they're pulling their toys off another kid even though they weren't playing it, and then your kid goes, don't tell me that, and go cry. They need it. It's a little bit like what I was talking about when you find out what your culture is. The first way to heal your culture is to find out the truth so you can move on. Facades just cause circles that go around and around. But anyway, have a good one, everybody. And I'm happy to debate. Go check out these documentaries if you can find them. They should be out there. Most of the documentaries never really disappear. And check them out. Check out the Rainbow Spirit and the story. And how would you reconnect that? What would they need to do to fix that story? That's the things that they need to talk about, as far as I'm concerned, instead of going and having a go at farmers and stuff about bridges and streams and the rainbow spirits in there and have a go at domination like we did to them back in the day. Two wrongs don't make a right, right? We're past that era of way of thinking, and we're in this era of way of thinking, and you need to catch up to it. All cultures do, together, collectively. Have a good one and see you later.